Hi, Vicky bro. I'm good. I'm good. How you doing?
I'm great. Thank you so much for joining in. So, for the
It's a pleasure.
listeners, I just want to mention that Somji Chakravarti is basically into music production and sound designing and graphic designing. And he's here to talk with us all about the power of voice, the power of communication, the power of inner belief and thoughts, and how he got connected with music, and how he got connected with graphic designing and anything with regard to the certain nuances of his life and the reflection on that. So, more power to you, brother. Thank you so much for taking out time. I want to extend my deep gratitude from a part of my whole team that you took out this time to come here for this wonderful conversation with us and sharing your life journeys and experiences with us so that the listeners can reflect and they can get those learnings that they can create an impact in their life. So, more power to you. The mic is yours, the stage is yours. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Vicky bro. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure. Thank you. I'm actually overwhelmed that you invited me for this event. So yeah,
Sure.
I would like to start by saying that music came for me first, and the
Mm-hmm,
designing part of things came much later on.
mm-hmm,
So I got introduced to music at the very young age, at the age of 12, I remember,
mm-hmm,
and it was mostly because my dad and my mom, they sort of pressurized me that you should have some sort of a extracurricular activity, so just go out there and learn something.
mm-hmm,
So back in the day, I had no idea what should I go for, right? I mean, everything is cool. Even if I see a guy playing a guitar, that seems cool to me. So I was like, okay, I want to play guitar. Then they're like, no, 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 you should go and learn keyboard because we like keyboard, so you should also go and learn keyboard. That was the whole approach. And I was like, ठीक है, okay, I'll go do this. And I joined a keyboard course, uh, and things started from there on. I mean, initially it was all enforced on me, so I didn't know about anything about music. But slowly, I got into the vibe. I came to I started exploring more. Artists. I learned what Western music is, what Indian music is, and all that stuff. But after a point, I thought key, keyboard is not my thing. I mean, I'll tell you an example. So what happened was, uh, I used to take probably a week or two to finish one chapter or a lesson. And there was this certain chapter called Prelude in G major, which my teacher, he kept me hooked onto that for like more than I think 5 or 6 weeks. So every week I used to go there and I was playing the same prelude in G major again and again. And he never used to pass me. He's like, no, you have to practice it more. So finally, after 6 weeks, I'm like, sir, what am I doing wrong? I mean, why aren't you, why aren't
Why
you,
you not passing me? Why
yeah,
can't
why
I
are
go
you
to the
not
H now?
exactly. Why are you not promoting me to, the next lesson? He said a very interesting thing, and it got stuck with me forever. He said, when you're playing, okay, you are looking at your fingers. And I was like, yeah, that's how I'm supposed to play. He's like, no. He's like, no, that means you, like, keyboard is not your instrument at all. I mean, you should be able to play with your eyes closed. Even if you can't hear, he gave me an example of Beethoven. Right? Beethoven lost his hearing aid, but still he knew each and every notes, like what sound, what vibration it would produce, right? And that sort of hit me. I was like, okay, then that means this is not my instrument. I mean, I'm doing it all wrong. I have to go back to the basics. You know what I mean, right? So I sort of then connected back to why did I start all this, and is this really getting me somewhere, right? And then my love for drums came. Like, drum and percussion is my primary instrument, right? So what happened was, in that same very school of mine, so my teacher had a band of his, okay, and he had an entire studio set up where he had his own friends, his own band members who used to come over the weekend, and they used to jam, and they used to go out to perform in events and stuff. So drum always intrigued me from the beginning, but I was sort of that guy. I have to remain streamlined. If I'm playing the keyboard, I should be, I should be a master of this instrument. right? So then after this comment, right, I was like, yeah, okay, then why not try drums? Because I have always had the thing for drums right from the beginning. Why not go and just play it? And then what I did was I started hearing started listening to my teachers when they used to jam, right? I used to very carefully listen to the drummer, like what is he playing, okay? And I realized that each and every beat that he's playing, no, by default I can understand it. Maybe because I have learned because this was like after 2 years of me learning the keyboards, right? So by that time, obviously, I was in a certain level where I could read notes, I could read the time signature, I could I could like if you were playing something to me, the entire thing would that entire arrangement would sort of sit in my head, and I could differentiate that, okay, there are there's one level of guitar going in there, there's certain bass going in there, all that stuff, right? So all the technicalities basically. So from day one, when I heard him playing the drums, I was like, yeah, this is easy, okay, this is not hard for me. And then what I did was they finished up the jamming, okay? I stayed late back in the class. Everybody left because obviously I had sort of an issue that, okay, if I go and play now, everybody would laugh at me, right? So I could have waited. I told my dad, wait, I have an exam now. My teacher is taking my exam. Whereas my teacher already left. He left the classroom, okay? So I waited back, and then I quietly went and I took the drumsticks, okay? And I tried to play that same song that my teacher's band was jamming, correct? Because as I said, that entire arrangement was stuck in my head, so I knew each and every beat, right? So I gave it a try. Obviously it was messy, but it was not that bad, if you know what I mean. And that's when it hit me that, okay, I mean, this is the thing to go with. I mean, nobody has given me any sort of a reference of drums, okay? I have not taken one class, but yet I have just heard them play one song, and I can just go sit there and at least replicate that stuff, right?
Beautiful.
So that's when I got the realization that this is the instrument that I have to go with. So and then I started learning drums, and I would like to say one thing: my entire journey of music has been sort of self-taught. So it's not that I haven't learned the technicalities of staff notation or Western music notation on drums. I have, but that was much later on. So I started learning drums just by listening to songs, and I somehow I cried in front of my dad that please get me drums, and he did. Okay, he did. And after, it was all self-practice. I used to isolate myself in home every day after school. Okay, from 4 to 6 o'clock, 2 hours every day was my jamming time. Right, and every day I used to listen to one songs, and my aim was to, okay, by the end of this week I need to at least be able to play, let's say, 2 or 3 songs, right? I used to set a target for myself. Okay, I was going really hard on myself, and that's how I learned drums. And I saw YouTube tutorials. Back in the day, YouTube was a very new phenomenon. I'm talking about back in 2008, 7-8. Yeah. So YouTube was just coming in, and I was so in awe of this. Okay, so technology is with me, and I can.
There are those people who can share their own experiences and learnings, and there are these free channels where we can learn so much online. Yeah, sure.
Absolutely, yeah. So I was just getting exposed to all of that, and I was like, okay, this is cool, but there are people, like there's a drummer sitting in Europe and he's teaching me virtually, right? Things like that.
Beautiful.
And that's how I picked up. And then what happened? There was a band for me. I think in 2009.
So this is the power of technology, Somjit. This is the power of voice. This is the power of communication. This is the power of inner belief and that inner intent and desire that I have something to share with the world. I have something to offer as a value where I can create an impact in people's life. Wonderful. Go on.
True. Absolutely agreed. So then there was I met Phillips. He was the lead guitarist of my band. So we both started a band called Aberdeen Angus.
So talk a bit about how this concept of starting a band came. This is very interesting. This is something that the listeners will love to listen, because there would be elements of team, coordination, management, and all those things. Please go on.
True. So this is another interesting story. So we used to have this community ground sort of thing where all the kids from our neighborhood, they used to gather in the evening, and we used to play cricket, football, and whatnot, right? So there was this guy, okay, he was I think 3-4 years elder than me, okay. He also used to come and all that, and I already knew that he used to play guitars, okay. And this is like, after a certain point I have this confidence now that okay, I can play some songs. If somebody tells me that okay, play in this tempo, I can, okay, right. So now you have that inner voice telling you that, now you need to collaborate, right? You need to go out there, look for other musicians, do something, create some magic, right? So I approached him. I'm like, you play guitars, right? He said, yeah. I'm like, will you jam with me? Then he's like, yeah, sure, why not? And from the next day he came to my home, and we literally, from next day we had that sort of a connection, right? We stopped going to play itself. Like all those guys from the ground, they used to come and what happened? Why are you not coming? Like, no, we have formed a band now. We don't need to play anymore.
We don't need to play anymore.
Yeah.
This is so interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So then it was just day in, day out of practice, and me and him just going all in on like whatever creativity we could throw out on the table, doing brainstorming sessions. And and this is like what we both, I was like 13, 14 years old, and he is I think 15, 16 years old, and we like from day one, our mentality was that okay, we can do cover songs, but end of the day we need to make our own songs.
Beautiful. So you then, that is the time when you started going more into producing music.
No. Producing came much later on. I mean, the thought of a producer, yes, it was like implanted in my head right from those days. But those days, it took us like a year after that just to compile the band, because only a guitarist and a drummer wouldn't do, right? So then we went out.
You need the rest of the team also. Yeah, you need
exactly. We need a good bassist, and that's a whole different level, because even till date, finding a good bassist is the most hardest thing in a band.
Yeah,
okay, you ask any musician, they'll tell you, because as they say, like a bass guitarist is a master in usual guitars, okay, and then they shift to bass.
Exactly.
Right. So it's a very hard thing to be a master
of. So that's like the soul of the band. And if you don't have a good bassist, then the whole foundation, it just ruptures into another thing altogether. It can just like collapse in front of the audience at that time. It's very important to find the right bassist.
Agreed. And the interesting thing, like how we found our band members is also one heck of a story. So what happened
please go on.
Yeah. So what happened is we were trying so hard to find a bassist, but we couldn't. Okay. So in the end, we were like, no, I'm not gonna care. So we are just gonna go and perform just like that without a bassist. Okay. And we went for our first event, and like from the audience perspective, it was a flop. Okay. Because obviously you're looking at a band with 2 guitarists, lead guitarist, 1 drummer, okay, and 1 singer, and there's no bassist. So obviously people are gonna judge you, right?
Exactly.
And they did, but it was a really great experience, okay, because only after that it was a great learning curve for us, that okay, now we know that we desperately need a bassist. And interestingly, if we hadn't gone to that show, we wouldn't have found a bassist, because there was a really senior band called Silver Tears from Guwahati, okay, and they were also performing in that same show.
What is the name of your band, if I may pitch in?
Aberdeen Angus. Like, I mean, we are not active anymore, but yeah, back in the day we were called Aberdeen Angus.
Aberdeen Angus. Can you tell a bit about the coinage of the word to the listeners?
Okay, so this is another funny story. So, so what happened is, same like me and him, we were sitting, we were like, okay, now we are making some music, but people have to know us by some name, right? So what do we do? I remember where we used to jam, next to my drum kit, there was to be my study table. Okay. And in the corner of the study table, I had a dictionary. Okay. I took the dictionary. I was like, okay, randomly, listen, this is the rules. We are going to just open up the one page. Okay. Whatever name. Page. Yeah. Whatever word comes on the top, right? That is the name. Okay. And we opened it. It came Aberdeen Angus. Okay. But interestingly, now let me tell you that
what it means.
I'll come to that. So Aberdeen Angus basically means, Aberdeen is a place in Scotland, right?
Okay.
And Angus is a breed of cattle, right? So cows, for example, it's a breed of cattle found in Aberdeen. Okay. Now interestingly, look at it. No, like they say, no, everything happens for a reason. Everything
Wow.
happens for a reason. So I'll tell you what. So this name, why it stuck? Because then we were thinking that okay, if Abundance, how do we relate to that to ourselves? Then
Mm-hmm.
my lead guitarist said that, dude, it makes sense. I'm like, how? He said, dude, listen, me and you, we both are very bad at studies. Okay, in our school, everybody thinks like basically in India they say no gadha hai, right? So we are actually that breed of cattle only, dude. Okay, it's Aberdeen, it's in Scotland, but we represent that. So Aberdeen Angus actually makes sense, but we are making music. We are a breed of cattle making
Beautiful.
music,
Wow, man.
right? And
Wow.
we're like,
I,
wow,
I
man,
love
that's
the analogy and the metaphor, the way you guys are reflecting on it. Beautiful. Wonderful.
yeah. And think this through, no? Like we are just a 14-year-old kid thinking all this, right? And we are making originals. And yeah, so after that, coming back to the event, so
So,
there was
so
a
I
really
am.
good senior
So
band.
I'm so
Yeah.
sorry. I'm pitching in. I'm reading about Aberdeen Angus right now on Google, and
Mm-hmm.
they are mentioning certain things which definitely connect with you and your mentality, your mindset, and your teammates when they were talking about these things. Aberdeen Angus are resistant to harsh weather.
Yeah,
They are
exactly.
undemanding. They are adaptable. They are good natured. They are mature. They have a
Mm-hmm.
high carcass yield with nicely marbled. Angus are renowned as a carcass breed. They will always add value to the quality and the ability of the milk. So your milk is your music,
Yep.
and all you people are the cattle of a higher breed, which is good natured, adaptable, and extremely wise when they're going on that journey of producing or composing music. That is what Aberdeen Angus is for you, all our listeners who are listening to us right now. Is that making
Thank you
sense,
so much,
Samjit?
Deepak. Yeah, absolutely. It definitely makes sense. You just teleported me back to my young days, like when we were brainstorming. And
Beautiful, beautiful. Sure, sure. What else?
so yeah, like that's what. So I would like to tell another interesting. So coming back to the
Mm-hmm.
bassist point. So if we hadn't gone to that event, right, we wouldn't have found the bassist because there was, as I said, there was a much senior band than us called Silver Tears,
Yeah,
and after
yeah.
the gig we just sort of like me and my guitarist went to them, and their bassist was like at that moment he was one of the best bassists in town. He
Mm-hmm.
got like huge awards, and he won the best bassist award in many events and stuff. So I went to him and I was like, sir, listen, I'm a huge fan of yours, and the entire band I follow Silver Tears from last 3-4 years,
Mm-hmm.
but I need a help from you. Then he was really forthcoming and was like, what do you need? I heard you guys are tight, keep doing what you do. It's just that now you're in your initial days, so don't worry about it. Just
Mm-hmm.
keep doing what you do. And we're like, we need a bassist. Can you help us? And he's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, yeah, bassist. Yeah. I take classes, so I have so many bassists. I'll connect you with a few of them. Give me your number.
Mm-hmm.
And he took our number, and then he sort of connected to a guy, and his name was Raja, and he was then our bassist. Yeah, so finally,
Oh,
due to that
wow.
event, we sort of ended up with a bassist.
Beautiful, beautiful. What a journey, man. What a journey.
Yeah, and and
And
one more
why
interesting thing.
and why did you stop? Like why your band stopped? If you can highlight a bit about that.
Uh, as you know, like after my 10th, and most of the guys, they were also pretty much of my same age, right? So in India, as you
Mm-hmm.
know, right, after the point, you need to choose between music or between,
Studies.
academic. So yeah.
Mm.
So because of that, we sort of parted ways. But till date, we are really good friends, and they are also doing pretty well. And we still talk about reuniting and going back to those magical days where the fame, money, all that stuff never mattered. It was just purely about the music.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So hopefully someday in the near future, Aberdeen Angus would be back. Fingers crossed.
So I can see the Aberdeen Angus right now in front of me. I've opened the Indian Bands Hub blogspot.com
Oh, okay.
where I,
Do you see?
where I
Is
can
there a picture?
I can see Phillips on guitars and vocals, Somjit on drums and backing vocals, Raja on bass, and
Yep.
Anubhav on violin. Right? That's your band?
Yep. So I was gonna come to the violin story. So have you heard
Sure.
ever a violin player in a metal band?
I I have heard a cello player. I think you were
Right.
only telling me about that cello band from
Yeah.
I think from Sweden, the Swedish band
Yeah.
that is
They're called Apocalyptica.
Apocalyptica. Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, I never heard a violin, and definitely I'm looking forward to hearing a lot of songs from you. I don't know why you guys have stopped doing it now.
No, back in the day, it was never about producing music or distributing
Mhm,
and making people hear it. It was just for our own satisfaction. Like we wanted to
mhm,
become rock stars. This was just like going out on stage, performing for people. Getting that sort of an appreciation, and that was more than enough. As I said
mhm.
earlier, that money, fame, all that stuff never mattered back in the day. Like
And
when I picture myself now.
what was like the impact from the audience when you introduced violin into your music? Because you were into heavy metal and hard rock. With that
Absolutely, yeah.
grunge and all, and electric guitars and distortions and all, do you feel that the music of the violin could come out there in front of people?
Uh, so basically, our initial thought was that because after one or two gigs, we thought of realized that if we need to succeed, we need to stand out, right?
Hmm, hmm,
So when standing out came into the picture, even our manager at the point he told work on your originals, don't focus on covers, yeah,
hmm,
and you need to stand out. There's a and back in the day in Northeast, the metal and rock scene was booming, so there were
hmm,
like so much competition, na?
hmm,
So when that thought came into our head, we sort of we sort of rewinded back and started thinking that how can we make our sound more appealing, yeah, and still fit into that metal space, right? So then same my one of my neighbor, he was a really good friend of mine called Anubhav, and he was a violin player. Like I used to see him every day at 4:30 or 5 in the evening. He used to walk with his violin case and go to his classes, right?
hmm.
So I was just thinking, and then suddenly I thought that why not introduce, like at least try and introduce violin into the metal segment, right?
Interesting, interesting.
At least
Violin is
we can
normally
try it.
part of the classical music. Yours
Yeah.
was more of a Western classical. Like, were you trying to get more into Western rock, more like a progressive rock, like something on the lines of Pink Floyd, something on the lines of Queen's Bohemian Rhapsody, something on those lines you were trying to portray?
Initially, yes, but then we called him to our jamming sessions, and he was like, "Yeah, yeah, sure, why not? Let's experiment something and try stuff."
Mm-hmm,
And then initially, we just started experimenting with the raw sound of the violin, right?
mm-hmm,
And then one day, by magic, what happened is Anubhav, he connected the violin to the guitar amp and the
mm-hmm.
guitar processor, and then the violin sound sort of went through the processor into the amp, right? It started giving that
It hit
distortion
that.
sound.
Okay, okay. That's
Yeah, and
interesting.
that created a really unique tone. Like I have never heard of anything like that before at
Beautiful,
that point of time. That was
beautiful.
my thought. And then we were like, dude, you need to tomorrow you go to a music store, get a processor for yourself. Okay, we are doing this. Okay, and that's how the entire violin thing got implemented. And then
So,
we
so
sort
I
of like,
feel, Samjit, at this moment, all our listeners, they would be extremely excited to listen to that song that you're talking about, which is "Get Going," and I have that in front of me. If you give me the permission,
no,
I
no,
can
no.
play a
That's
bit of
the
it.
please listen. Why I say this, because see, we are already producing Get Going again. Okay, so
Acha, you're doing it
uh,
again.
pro-
Okay, okay,
yeah.
wonderful,
Because back in the day, as you know, technology, yes, it was there, but we were just like budding producers, trying to make a mark, right? So we didn't get that access to technology back then.
hmm,
So
hmm.
that output of the song is really bad. Like whenever I listen to it now, I'm like, my God, what is this? So, but don't worry. To all the listeners, Aberdeen Angus, like even though we are not performing, we are sort of working in the back end to sort of recreating our original composition from back then. Like
Beautiful.
we have like 6 or 7 songs with us, and we are in the production phase now. Probably it will take us another 4 months maximum to release it one by one. That is. So yeah, probably
But
I'll
definitely, all the listeners who want to listen to the raw version of the
yeah,
song, which was the actual root, the actual seed, they can go
yeah,
on reverbnation.com and they can listen to Aberdeen Angus's song "Get Going," and you will
sure,
feel
absolutely,
the sense of
yeah.
"Get Going" in you when you start listening to this song.
Thank you so much, Vicky bhai. Thank you so
Sure,
much.
sure, sure. So let's talk a bit about you. You talked a bit about your musical journey, how you found your own voice, your own inner voice, how you find that connection with your instrument, and how it
Uh-huh.
made an impact in your life, how you found your band, and how you are still working on your band and you're trying to reflect on the different experiences. And now when you are having that wisdom sense, you're going back listening to your songs, you're also in that process of producing quality music and giving a different taste into the different music genres that are there, and trying to produce something that is something where you can add your own signature, own value, and you can produce a beautiful concoction there. So more
Yeah.
power to you, more power to your band, all those wonderful things that you're doing. Now let's come to the second part where you mentioned that you are into graphic designing and all. Let's talk a bit about that.
Okay, so as I said, like after 10th, because of society, you can call it, or parents, or they sort of sidetrack me into choosing a different field, like which can produce money. So after my 10th, in 11th and 12th, it was sort of that journey where I sort of rewinded myself and started thinking that, okay, other than music, what can I do? But I always had this in my mind that I cannot quit music. That is never happening, even if it doesn't produce money per se, but end of the day it feeds my soul, so that will always go on. And you never know, at a certain point music also might start giving me yields back, right? So that I don't need to do anything else. So after 11th, I sort of started analyzing my traits. So I was also good in art, right? And I thought, see, as you know, in India, like all your like when you're in college, everyone is talking about being an engineer or doctor or getting into law, right? All the mainstream professions, right? So I was clear from day one that none of these fits my forte. So I need to do something which I can really enjoy, same like just like music. So in that period of time, I came upon designing. And back in the day, in 2011, designing was still a very raw phenomenon, especially in India, right? I mean, we would have heard about it, but like,
not many people were opting for it. Yeah.
Exactly. So, but then that was one of the reasons what I thought that, okay, if I get into it now, then probably in the next 5 or 6 years, when designing becomes a mainstream stuff in India, I'll already be in the top, right? So I feel that was a great decision I took back then. That right from day one, I went into design college, and that this was in Chennai, where I did my bachelor's in communication design for 3 years. And that sort of opened up a new world for me, because when you go to a creative space, you come across so many other creative people, and you know that, okay, I'm not alone. Because any day for an artist, it's a big battle, right? Because people always demotivate you. They'll be like, "Nay, what are you gonna do becoming an artist? You're not gonna earn money, all that." So there's already so much of negativity around you.
Beautiful.
Right? So when you're going to a design college or any artistic space, like if you're going to NIFT, if you're going to NID, you will bump across so many like-minded people, and they'll sort of motivate you. I mean, for example, my strength was always visual thinking, illustrations and things like that. There were other friends of mine who were good with softwares. Some of them were good with story writing. Some of them were good with cinematography. Some of them were good photographers. So we all sort of taught each other, like what I knew, I'll teach my friends. What they knew, they'll teach me. And this sort of elevated.
Like you were mentioning about that particular word, brainstorming. You all were brainstorming together, and everyone was learning from everyone. So you were a teacher and a student at the same time. Beautiful.
Absolutely. That's a very right way to put it. So yeah, so that opened up a new horizon for me. And even there, like I use my musical background. I even used it there. For example, like we used to make short films and stuff like that. So they used to always, whenever we used to sit for pre-production, and they used to be like, "Who is gonna give music?" I'm like, "Don't worry, I'm there. Okay, I'll take care of it." And then so that sort of kept me going. And as you know, now designing has a really good scope in India and as well as in the entire world. So designing just went like that, and it's been really good. So I sort of believe in coexisting. So I don't want to quit designing also. I don't want to quit music as well. I sort of believe in continuing both in a parallel manner.
So you believe that designing and music is something that you connect, and you want to have them in tandem. There shouldn't be any kind of a demarcation there. Because
No, no.
even when you're singing or when you are producing or composing music, that itself is a part of design. You are designing
Definitely,
something,
definitely.
designing something.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's just that when I'm making music, I'm designing a, let's say for example, a voice or a vibration, right? And when I'm designing a visual, okay, I'm it's the same thing. It's just that the medium is changing from audio to video, right?
Mhm, mhm.
It's the same thing, but the process is almost similar. The process of creating music and creating good design is the same thing for me, at least.
Mhm. And what is that thing which is extremely important or relevant for you? And what is that you feel or you enjoy when you're designing or when you're composing music or when you're drumming? What is that
Mhm.
thing that you feel deep inside that moves you, that feeds your soul? When you mention that word, it feeds my soul. What is that thing that makes you aware, that creates that
I
awareness within you?
Okay, that's a very deep and really interesting question. So I feel what moves me is I have always been a fan of something which has never been made before.
Mhm,
So whenever I'm looking for whenever I'm going through my Instagram feeds, or whenever I'm looking through some online blogs for new trends in designing or music,
mhm.
I always look for something that is never not there. Okay, it could be
Okay.
like, it could have a really small following base, I don't mind. So for me,
Mhm.
for example, in music, I follow genres that nobody has ever heard of before, like
Yeah,
breakbeat.
when you were talking about
Yeah,
those things with that guy, I don't remember his name, in the room, and when I came and I was like, "Wow, man, this guy is talking about such indie bands, rock bands, which I've never even
yeah.
heard about." But the elements and the things that he's talking, they are so interesting. When you talk about using a cello in a rock band, when you right now when you mentioned that we experimented with using a violin in a heavy metal rock band, a
Uh-huh.
hard rock band. So that even sounds so interesting that I'm right now getting tempted. You have stopped me, but I'm getting tempted to listen to Get Going. And you are stopping me to get going there. But I've after this interview is done, after this conversation is done, I'm gonna get going there. I'm going to see and I'm going to listen to those certain nuances of those violins and how it is making me feel with that new concoction that you have designed, you have invented. So I feel that if we can sum up this whole thing, I think you are an experiential learner, Somjit, and you always believe in innovation, not getting
Absolutely.
satisfied with the thing that is available. You always have that hunger towards finding something new that is there in the market and
True,
something
true,
that
true.
can.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Can I add
That
up
is
to that?
something that,
So
yeah, please go on,
yeah,
please
yeah.
go on.
So that's what for me, like, even when I got introduced to like the commercial space, right? So when I
Mhm.
say commercial, I mean what sells, right? So when you talk about commercialization, always this like in the current digital era, things like followers, things like likes, all these come into space, no?
Mhm. Mhm.
But for me, like, like in the listener, if somebody is pursuing music or design, I just want to say that don't let yourself define your work just by likes, because today
Beautiful.
what you're doing, it might have, let's say, just 10 or 100 likes for next 10 years, but after 10 years what you are doing, it could be like a movement.
Beautiful.
so
I love that. I
so
love that.
let's say
It's
you are
almost
making a
like
new.
a small ripple in
Yeah,
water, and that
yeah.
transitions towards forming a larger wave. Wonderful.
Absolutely, absolutely. So even if you go back in history and you do some case studies on various artists or filmmakers or
Mhm.
musicians, right? So there are many musicians who made like several stuff like way ahead of their time. Okay, and those stuff, like after their death, probably after 100 years, came into the limelight, and that sort
Mhm.
of like made a completely new genre for themselves, and they
Mhm.
like sort of people studied them as a case study, and they started following them. So never stop, like whatever you're making, if it moves you, okay, then it should be enough. Don't think about what is gonna do from the consumer point of view. If it moves you,
Wow.
that's more than enough for you.
I think there are two, three things that you are leaving for the listeners to become more aware is that if there is something that moves you, that comes from deep within you, that feeds your soul, just believe in yourself and the world will believe in you. And keep on inventing, experimenting, innovating. And keep on
Absolutely.
believing in yourself. That's beautiful, yeah.
Definitely.
Somjit,
Amen to
that's
that.
wonderful. So I'm glad that you are sharing all these wonderful insights, and definitely when we had a conversation for the first time, I became aware that you are a great storyteller. But I was not aware about this thing, that you are reflecting so good on your journey, and there are so many learnings that you have got from the reflections and the experiences that you have gone through your life. So kudos to you, yeah. Kudos to you. So
Thank you
now
so much.
let's come quickly to the last but not the least. I'm very with a heavy heart. I have to say that because there's a dearth of time, I have to end the conversation in a while. But I feel that you are like an encyclopedia, and I can just keep on listening to you, keep on having a larger conversation with you, which we will be doing in the near future as well. But for the sake of time, for the time management for the listeners, I want to ask you, Somjit, what are those major obstacles that you faced in your life, uh, which today, when you are reflecting on them, you got some learnings, you got some feedbacks, and now when you are using them in the right manner, you are creating an impact in your life. If you feel like sharing with the listeners, because definitely there would be some great ideas and insights that they can use in their own life. Please.
um this would bring me back to the previous question, kind of,
Mhm,
because as
mhm,
I said, that for any artist it's very important to sort of not care about what people think and just create. If it makes you, if it moves you, then that is more than enough. It's
mhm,
easy to say, but that entire thing is a process, and I feel every
mhm.
artist should go through that process, right? and
Beautiful.
and that sort of is a great, you can say it's a process of enlightenment, or it's a journey, and that will only happen over time. Like
Mhm,
if you're conscious enough to letting in a new trends, or you're listening to new stuff, and sort of evolving around you with
mhm,
what you're creating and what you're listening and what you're viewing.
mhm,
So only with that, I think, yeah, that sort of was a great, like, now when I say about this, right, that uh, one second. So yeah, so coming back to the point, so now when I say that, yeah, this is how it should be done, like, you shouldn't care about what people think. It's easy to say,
mhm,
but it's a very difficult thing, and I feel
mhm.
every artist should do that, because if you don't do that, then the entire the commercial aspect of things will spoil you, and it will spoil your art, and that shouldn't happen, because when that happens, I feel you're dead as an artist. You're actually dead.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So always feel that philosophical aspect to your art, to your craft. Don't just think of it as a medium to monetize something. Just be aware that
Absolutely.
you are doing it because that is something that you feel connected to, and it gives you a
Mhm.
lot of pleasure, lot of happiness, and inner happiness deep within you. And when you can keep on doing that, and you feel other people feel that it's very monotonous, every day he's
Mhm.
doing this, every day I'm doing this, but still it gives you that pleasure deep within you. That is really the purpose of your life is.
True, absolutely true.
So this is how we are connecting everything, like how you talked about your journey of being a musician, how you find your
Mhm.
own instrument, how you find your own purpose, your own values, how you formed a band, how you connected with the band, how you're trying to convert your songs into another genre, you're adding a great value, innovating and all. And in that process, when you're experiencing everything, while we were talking about your timeline, your journey, you were also reflecting and bringing out a lot of insights and values and the learnings and the reflections that you did on the table, so that it can help the listeners. So that was a wonderful conversation, Somjit, and I hope we were able to create that congenial environment for you, where you can share your thoughts without any kind of a milieu, without even feeling hindered in any of the hindsight, and you just felt like
Absolutely.
opening yourself in the right manner. So I hope we were able to give you that environment.
Yes, definitely. And I would like to say, Vicky bhai, this is a great initiative. I mean, usually I kind of I'm a bit introvert, so I like to
Mm,
stay in my own
mhm,
bubble and sort of
mhm,
only like focus on my stuff. But when the name that you've named, no, of your podcast, Power of the Voice, that in
mhm,
itself
mhm.
was like very tempting, and that sort of
Beautiful.
provoked me into coming and speaking my heart out. So yeah, thank you
Beautiful.
so much. Thank you so much for this opportunity again.
Thank you so much, Somjit, for coming. Thank you so much. We had a wonderful conversation, and thank you so much from a deep gratitude from all the people, the part of my team, and all. We just want to mention that thank you so much for taking out your precious time and doing this and sharing all your life journeys and the reflections that you did. It's extremely impactful, and it will create a lot of value for the listeners. So thank you so much, and I'll connect with you soon.
Absolutely, Vicky bhai.
Sure.
Yeah, anytime. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Sure, man. Take care, bro. Take care. Keep rocking.
Yes, amen to that. Chalo, signing out.
Signing out, bro. Take care.